Right now, I'm going to show you a super easy way to create bleeds and crop marks inside of Photoshop. This might be one of the most practical uses for AI. So what is a bleed? Think of a bleed as a safety margin. You make your background or photo slightly larger than the finished page. So when it's trimmed, the color or image goes right to the edge with no white slivers showing. Now, the standard amount for a bleed is 1/8 of an inch. So what we need to do is we need to extend this image. We don't want to enlarge it because important parts could be cropped off. So the first thing we want to do is we want to have nice clean guides around the edges. Fortunately, Photoshop can do this for us. So we go under the View menu, and then we go to Guides, and we're going to choose New Guide Layout. So we want just a single column and a single row. So let's just change these to 1 and 1. Now what you want to do is you want to clear the existing guides. So this is what it's going to give us. Click OK. So now we've got this guide all the way around. Now if you want to set your document to inches, or you might be working in centimeters if you're in Europe, what you're going to do is you're going to choose Control R or Command R for the ruler, right click, and then choose the unit of measurement you want. Since I'm in the United States, we're going to be using inches. Great, now we want to change the size of the canvas. So we're going to choose the image, and then we're going to choose canvas size. Alright, so what we're going to do is we want to add 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So we're going to change this to inches. And right now it shows the current dimensions of the document. We're working at 300 pixels per inch, which is standard print resolution. And we've got a 14 by 8 inch document. So we're going to change this to relative. This is going to set it to 0. So what I want to do is I want to add 1/8 of an inch at the top, bottom, and both sides. Now we don't have to do the math. We can actually go in here and do 1/8 inch. And if we click, it's going to show us as 0.125. But there's a problem with this, because we actually wanted 1/8 inch on top and 1/8 inch on the bottom. So we're going to change this to 1/4. And then it will do the calculations for you. That's going to be 0.25. And then we'll just type in 0.25 for the bottom. So now this is going to add this all the way around. So click the little dot to make sure it's extending from the middle. And now we click OK. Notice now we've extended the canvas. What we don't have yet is any design there. And this is very easy to do. What we're going to do is move over the Layers panel. Hold down the Control key or the Command key on Mac and then click, and that's going to load the visible pixels. Now what we want to do is make sure we have a little bit of overlap so we don't have any edges. So we want to contract this slightly. So we could go to the taskbar. If you don't see the taskbar, you can go up under Select, Modify, and what we want to do is contract. Because I'm using the taskbar, I can get there quicker. So we're going to just click on this icon and choose Contract Selection. And I just want to do it by a couple of pixels. 2 pixels will be fine. And then what that does is just gives us a little bit of overlap. Now what we want to do is we want to inverse the selection. Once again, you can go under the Select menu and do it there, or we can do it by choosing Invert Selection. Command-Shift-I, by the way, or Control-Shift-I on Windows also does the same thing. So what we've done now is we're selecting just the outside area, but we're going into the image by 2 pixels so we get that little bit of an overlap so we don't get that gap. So right now we're going to do one of the most practical uses for Generative Fill. So we're going to choose Generative Fill, and then under the model, you want to use Firefly, which is Adobe Fill and Expand. It's made for this kind of work. We're not going to put anything into a prompt. We're just going to choose Generate, And now what it's going to do is it's going to generate and expand our design to go outside. So now we can include this bleed without compromising our design or having to cut any of our existing design off. And you don't really even have to worry about resolution, because this is just that safety margin where we've got color and not white. Great. The bleed is complete, but what we want to do now is we want to add crop marks so the printer can trim it on those crop marks. So we're going to create a new layer, and I'm going to call it crop. So what we need to do now is add some lines that we're going to use for the crop marks. So we're going to go to the line tool, for the method, we're going to choose pixels. And a weight, 1 pixel should be fine. You can make it 2 if you wanted. Now, make sure that snapping is turned on, and you'll see that under View, snapping is on. And then we're going to start outside the document and just click and drag all the way off the image. Let's do the same thing on the other side. Notice it'll snap. Great. I'm just going to hold down the space bar to slightly nudge my image over a little bit, because I want to do the same at the top. Make sure you go all the way off the end of the image. All right. We've added those marks. You probably can't see them right now. And let's just hide the guides for now so you can. So we choose View, Show, and let's turn off the visibility of the guides. Now, obviously, we don't want these lines to go into the art, because if we trim, we're still going to end up with those white slivers, which is what we're trying to avoid. So I'm going to show you a really easy way to trim this down now. So what we want to do is we want to select the entire document. That's going to be Control-A, Command-A on Mac. And now all we need to do is contract this. So we're going to choose Contract Selection. Once again, you could do it from the Select menu if you wanted. And a good amount here is about 20 pixels. The reason for that, because if we are at 300 pixels per inch, 1/8 of an inch equals about 37.5 pixels, which is where that line is going to be. So we don't want to do the whole thing. We're just going to contract it by 20. Click OK. Notice we've got our selection. We're on the crop layer. Just hit the delete key. And now we've got our crop marks. Now, of course, depending on what type of document you're working on, white worked well for this. You could choose, black or another color, something that shows up better. And by the way, to make this easy for you, I've created an action for the whole thing. It's called Bleed and Crop Marks. And you can grab this at photoshopcafe.com/vault, and this will be under my bonus actions. And there's a whole ton of extras there that you can download for free. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. Don't forget, if you want to download that action and all the other actions and goodies, head over to photoshopcafe.com/vault. If you're already a member of Photoshop Cafe, you receive the newsletter, just click on your newsletter and that will take you there and download the action one. I've updated it with the new action in there. And by the way, if you're new, welcome to the cafe. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. You won't miss any of my tutorials. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.